I feel like Eelektross is way better than people give it credit for. It's got zero weaknesses, being a pure electric type with levitate ability, and its stats make it super versatile as a potential mixed attacker, and since its move pool favors the special side, it's not commonly run as a physical attacker. But today, that's what we're doing. It gets access to COIL to set up attack, defense, and even accuracy, and with this setup, it becomes bulky and offensively scary. The accuracy boost now allows us to connect with Supercell slams and not worry about it missing, along with coverage and longevity and Drain Punch to steal some health. We throw on knockoff as well for good damage and utility, and honestly no one sees this physical setup sweeper Eel coming. Does anybody else feel like Eelektross was way cooler back in Gen 5? 3D really ruined my guy, but today we're going to show it some love anyway because the COIL set is really fun. If you're into that kind of thing, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 400k, I'd love to have you as part of the journey, and with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent most likely is going to lead off with Greninja for one reason, and that's because they probably see the Mudsdale coming. So as I lead off with Mudsdale, I am now, in danger of being watered to death, and I feel like, you know what, I'm going to make a play here. I'm going to expect them to overpredict, and rather than switching, they actually go for the U-turn, which, they probably, predicted that I was going to swap out. I do not. Instead, I grab myself a nice little stamina, and now I decide to hit something with a body press. I was thinking maybe I could catch the Greninja slipping, but instead, they now have to swap, and they bring in the Alolan Ninetales. So this majestic bastard is going to be mostly here to set up Aurora Veil. Gonna make things a whole lot more bulky with that, and a little dual screen action is always shitty. So I hit it with the body press, doesn't do much thanks to its defense boost because of that snow. And at this point, yeah, Mudsdale should probably have no business staying in here. I do realize also, seems like a pretty good time for Berserker here. So I swap into the Viking Meowth, and that's just because once this thing sets up its Aurora Veil, as we expect, I can then potentially set up a Swords Dance and kind of go crazy with the Gyro Ball. At least one thing for sure is this Ninetales does not want to stay in against Berserker here. So expecting a swap, I am going to try to get myself a nice little free Swords Dance, and they do want to get out of there. But he is absolutely allergic to this cat and has not much business there. So they actually end up swapping into the Golden Go. Young String Cheese guy comes in, and this thing's a little interesting. So first of all, it is going to be Air Balloon. Obviously not going to affect this Berserker, but as I grab myself a little Swords Dance, I'm still in a great spot here to now be able to hit it with a +2 knockoff, which is always fun. And also I know this thing can't really hurt me, so they end up going for a freaking Thunder Wave. I did not expect the T-Wave. Thunder Wave actually is not horrible for this Berserker set. I want to be as slow as possible, and now having my speed to like a literally stat of like 11 is actually pretty good. So I hit it with a knockoff, which gets rid of the balloon, does about half. And now I feel like a Gyro Ball should be able to kill. Now, they actually go for the Hex, shows that they wanted to get the para because of that. And it doesn't quite kill me, but it does get fully parried, which absolutely ties my balls in a knot, bro. I saw this thing being paralyzed, and I was like, these Gyro Balls are gonna slap. But instead, now I just get finished off due to the next Hex. And Golden pissed me off. It wasn't able to do what it wanted to, but it's fine. Because now I get myself a revenge switch of whatever I want to bring in. And guess what time it is, baby? There's about to be an entire ordeal out here. I'm going to bring in the Eel, and this feels like a good of a position as any to set up a nice little COIL. I don't think this thing wants to stay in against me, and most of the time people don't expect the physical set, and as they end up swapping into Big Mama, Blissey comes in most likely fully expecting the classic special set. Thinking I was going to go for something like Flamethrower, but of course instead I end up going for that COIL, and now we are boosted in attack, defense, and accuracy. The accuracy is great for Supercell Slam. I also realized this Blissey is kind of a perfect position for me to grab some momentum in terms of being able to set up more. And they just go for the Stealth Rock, which feels great. They're sitting there thinking, hey, this Eel is not that big of a problem. Newsflash, the Eel is becoming a problem. I get myself up a second COIL. Now I'm chilling at doubled attack, double defense, and now we're not going to miss Supercell Slams and shit. So I decide now to just go for the knockoff. I realize, one Drain Punch probably isn't going to kill the thing. And as I get Seismic Tossed, that's perfect. It's kind of the worst case scenario. That's the best Blissey can do for damage there. And after some leftovers, I'm really also feeling like I can be hit by another one. Then I can finish it with a Drain Punch. You're gonna drain the yolk out of that egg. Kind of seems gross, but they go for another Seismic Toss. Does bring me down to about half. They're like, hey, that feels pretty nice. And then boom, we Drain Punch them. And we just got egg for breakfast, baby. That's going to take care of the Blissey. and in the process get me back to full HP. Draining moves on Blissey's is always so convenient just because of the amount of HP Buddy has, but takes care of the Blissey, which is amazing. That's a huge defensive wall out of the way. And now we get to see what they want to do here. Now, they do still have the Aurora Veil up. They go back into Alolan Ninetales here because they realize they should hit me on the special side to be able to do as much as possible. Now they go for that Moonblast. Doesn't do much. They probably were expecting way more. We eat it up, and then a Supercell Slam absolutely destroys it. So look, this Eel has kind of gotten a little out of hand. I mean, just with a couple coils, this thing is an absolute problem. And we're also able to just take hits. The decent bulk that this thing's got really helps out. I mean, it's not great bulk, but, you know, it's able to live a Moonblast easily. Now they go into the Greninja here. I'm thinking this is fine. I'm just going to Drain Punch, get myself back up. They can hit me pretty hard, but I should be able to live anything. Now they go for the Hydro Pump, and check it out. We live it with 21, baby. Let's go. I thought that might have had a chance to kill. I can then go for that Drain Punch, easy one-hit KO, and also get myself even more health. We're, after leftovers, like back to near full, or near half at least, and we're on a little bit of a tear here with the Eel, dude. We're just, you know, swimming in mid-air, having a nice little time in the snow. So, eat a little bite of an apple, bring me back to half, and we can see what their next answer is going to be. They're running a little bit low on options against this Eel, which is always fun. So, they do go back to the Golden Go here. This thing, you know, should be able to hit me hard with something like a Shadow Ball. I'm just going to click the Supercell Slam, and it turns out this thing probably only has Ghost coverage with Hex. So they end up going for the Make It Rain, and it's not going to be quite enough. I do resist it, which is sick. They probably thought that it would do similar damage to a Hex without a status condition, but I then fire off the Supercell, and that's going to take care of friggin' Golden String Cheese. So, once again, Eelektross on an absolute tear. The bad thing is, I'm not looking great on health, and if they have anything to hit me on the special side, I probably go down. But at least we've done enough to their squad to where I am sitting pretty comfortably. So they decide to now bring in the Iron Moth. This thing is going to get a Quark Drive, which is scary, boosts its speed. This thing's now going to be faster than everything I've got. So here's the situation. I probably died anything this thing throws at me. I just want to let it happen because the Eel is kind of best used as death fodder here. They do finish me with a Flame Charge. Gets itself, or a friggin' Fiery Dance, gets itself a +1 special attack as well. And this is a very scary Dorito Moth over here. I could potentially be absolutely hoed by this thing, but I do have a plan. I decide it's in my best kind of interest to go into the Mimikyu here. The reason for that is because, first of all, I have my disguise intact. They're going to have to touch me, but also they're going to activate a red card as soon as they do that. So they go for the Fiery Dance. They're probably thinking this is actually a pretty damn good spot to be. They might be able to get the reverse sweep. They hit me with a nice little attack, deactivate the disguise, but then boom, I say, that is a foul, my good sir. Activate the red card, and then knowing their other Mon left is going to be a Great Tusk, I actually clicked Play Rough versus that Moth, just knowing it was going to, you know, obviously just default to forcing this thing in. Big old Tusks come in, and this thing also has Booster Energy, going to activate its Photosynthesis, and this one actually gets an attack boost, so I do at least connect with the Play Rough. Get myself some decent damage on the thing. Do need chip on the Tusk to try to finish the match off. But most importantly, the biggest thing about that whole interaction was, you know, getting that Moth to be forced to swap out. Because now the next time it comes in, it's not going to be able to get its Photosynthesis boost or Quark Drive and have that extra speed. So the Tusk is they're going to end up going for the Terra on this thing. They realize they're going to be hit by another Play Rough here. So they end up pulling out the Terra Poison, which is now going to allow it to resist a Play Rough, which sucks, but I get it below half, and with the Terra there, they decide to pull out the Bulk Up, and I'm thinking, shit, these freaking Paradox guys are always going to be the bane of my existence. If they can pull this match around after what the Eel did, I will have brought shame to my family. So I now just go for the Shadow Claw. I'm thinking if I can get a cheeky little crit here through the defense boost, that would be pretty sick. The good thing about this situation is that I know the Tusk has no way to boost its speed at this point. If I was not a Ghostmon out here, it could potentially Rapid Spin, and then with these bulk ups and some speed boost, the Tusk could be pretty scary. But I know after they finish me off with the Ice Spinner, I've got a little bit of insurance in the back, knowing that I actually have a freaking Paradox fella of my own in the form of the Sandy Shocks. I can bring this thing in. There's no way that this Tusk can outspeed me. And I've done enough chip to the point where, obviously, a nice little stab Earth Power should finish the fella off. So I'm going to grab myself a Photosynthesis boost of my own. There's friggin' Protos going on all over the place. But it's important to note, I get the special attack boost there. That's not on purpose. This is supposed to be special or speed boost. but I EV'd the thing wrong. So I finished this off with an Earth Power. Now thinking I was going to be able to outspeed the Moth as it comes in if I was a Photosynthesis speed boost, I'm actually not going to be able to do so. But then I realized, I'm like, you know, that Moth probably can't knock me out here. And then I can finish the game with the crazy ass Sandy Shock. So final mon being the Iron Moth comes in. This thing is at least still at full health, which is scary. I'm going to click the Earth Power. And as they go for the Energy Ball, I'm thinking that's fine. It can max out at 85% damage. But they get a critical hit. Absolutely busting my balls. And down goes the shock. So now we've got ourselves in a position where it's 2v2. You know, Skuntank can't really touch the thing. And my last chance is going to be this freaking horse. We know they have that Energy Ball coverage. I'm also looking at the damage on this thing thinking I should be able to live an Energy Ball barring a crit. I'm going to click the Earthquake regardless. Nothing else I can really do. I'm Terra Water. So they go for that Energy Ball. I barely hang on, which is clutch as hell. I swear this horse just always comes in handy in late game. So I can then click the Earthquake 4 times super effective. And that's going to be a dead Moth. So that one actually was a really good game. It came really right down to it after it seeming like it was going to be kind of a crazy sweep. But regardless, really good match, fun times, and that's going to do it for game number 1. That is now going to bring us into game number 2. And of course, it's that time where I ask, hey, if you've stuck around, go ahead and hit that like button for me. YouTube likes when you click it, and it's fun to click anyway. So, you know, with that, let's jump into the match. All right, so this time we've got a pretty interesting lead situation. So first of all, from team preview, I see that they have the Espeon back there. Now, as they lead off with the Masquerain, I figure Buddy's probably here to set up Sticky Web, but I'm reluctant to click this Stealth Rock just because I know there's that potential for them to switch into the Espeon and bounce him back. So instead, I click Heavy Slam. It does not end up working out for me because Pinhead over here actually goes for the Quiver Dance, and that's going to make the Masquerain a little bit scary. I hit it with a Heavy Slam, but it does about half. Regardless, at least I break a Focus Sash, but then it's not even Sash. It's freaking leftovers. So then I'm like, damn, the horse is kind of in a bad spot where I know this thing has some type of coverage to hit me with. And I'm just going to click Heavy Slam again. I say, screw it. I don't really feel like this friggin' Mudsdale is super useful in this game. So I'm just going to try to get some early value and not let this thing get out of hand here. So I go for another Heavy Slam. Doesn't quite end up knocking it out. But as they click Ice Beam, I take some considerable damage. At least with leftovers, I'm in a relatively healthy spot still, and I have a decision to make on whether or not I want to conserve this thing or, you know, just go ahead and let it go down here. I decide it's probably best off if I just let it die. I decide I'm going to stay in. They hit me with another Ice Beam. Down goes the horse. Did not get my rocks up, which is unfortunate. But they have the Cinderace back there anyway, so it could just swap them over. So I wasn't super mad about it. Now, Masquerain's over here not looking healthy. I realized that I have a pretty good sweep stopper, obviously in the form of Mimikyu. And this Mimikyu is in a spot where I'm kind of feeling like they expect the Shadow Sneak to come and pick him off. So instead, I'm going to actually Swords Dance, but it doesn't work out. They click the Air Slash, and that's going to break my Disguise. It does at least activate my red card, which is going to force this thing out and lose that boost from the Quiver Dance. And then I get my Swords Dance anyway, but I would have loved to keep that Disguise up a little bit longer. I really just kind of thought that they were going to expect that Shadow Sneak. So the red card ends up drawing in friggin' lime green Espeon. And Espeon's in a spot where I know that they have Shadow Ball coverage, but also I should be able to live it. And I'm also feeling like this thing's probably scared of a Shadow Sneak too. So instead of Shadow Sneaking, I'm going to go ahead and click that Play Rough. I'm really thinking that they want to swap here. They do not. They stay in, they go for the Shadow Ball, and this Ball of Shadow hurts because it kills me. And that is, I should have been clicking Shadow Sneak with the goddamn Mimikyu, but it does knock me out. One thing about that KO is that leads me to believe that it's definitely choice specs. I don't think without specs that kills. So now I'm pretty free to go into the Skuntank. I'm feeling like they're not going to stay in and Shadow Ball this thing, so I'm pretty free to grab a nice little hard-hitting gunk shot on whatever they want to bring in. So one thing about losing Mimikyu there, it does at least give me the data and knowledge on knowing that thing, Espeon's going to be specs. And they swap into Zangoose here. Not the best guy to send in on a receiving attack. Gunk Shot connects, luckily. Doesn't quite knock it out. It then gets poisoned by its Toxic Orb. And then I'm just going to click Sucker Punch. I feel like that is fine. This thing can't really set up at that low of health, so it's forced to attack. Sucker Punch comes through, and that's going to be a dead Zangoose. And I don't know how the hell Buddy's a goose, but he's dead, and that's all that matters. So back comes Espeon. Now this is an interesting turn because they just saw me click Sucker Punch. So instead of going for that, I'm thinking they're going to trick. They're surely going to trick. I saw the choice specs, and that's what happens. I don't want to Sucker Punch there, just knowing that that's most likely what they're going to click. They give me the choice specs, which is not great for Skuntank to have, but then they steal my Rocky Helmet, and they connect on another Gunk Shot, which is pretty damn nice because you know, it doesn't quite kill, but I get the poison this time, which is sick. And after a little poison chip, guess what? Espeon dies. So I do get tricked to that choice specs, but now the fast kitty is no longer running around hitting stuff with hard specs damage, and love to get some value out of the Skuntank. It's honestly, it feels pretty nice because this thing's actually pretty ass. No pun intended. But in comes Masquerain, does get an Intimidate, which sucks, but as I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Skuntank is faster than this. What am I afraid of? I'm gonna click Gunk Shot again. We do not miss these, baby. It connects. That does kill the Masquerain, which is hilarious. And so now we're knocking things out with the Skunk, and it feels pretty nice. I'm just locked into Gunk Shot, just mashing A at this point. Now, as they bring in the Cinderace, I'm intimidated, but also I'm like, screw it. I'm choice specs. The best value I can get would be some chip on this thing, and as they hit me with a Pyro Ball, I do live it. I connect on another Gunk Shot. It does, you know, only half, but, or like less than half, but that's fine. We take those, and now just knowing that they're going to finish me with another Pyro Ball, I realize that maybe Skuntank comes back later for some value, but also could be good for a Death Fodder, and I don't really need to let it go down because I can just easily swap into the Sandy Shocks here. I come in, get myself the speed boost. We are correctly trained at this point, and now at +1 speed, we should be faster than everything they've got. So instead of clicking the Pyro Ball, they go for the U-turn, which, you know, it does a bit of damage, but also now allows them a better matchup. And they go Spiritomb here. Spiritomb's kind of a weird matchup here, where it's like I don't want to waste my boost, and I probably don't do enough to the thing, but I clicked the Earth Power just in for the chance that I might get the Spadef drop, but I get the crit, which feels fine. And as they hit me with a Body Slam, first of all, A, I didn't know what the fuck this guy could learn Body Slam, and then B, I don't know why it has Body Slam, but it's probably there to try to grab some paras. It does not, obviously, but then they finished me with a Sucker Punch, and I kind of got a little hoed by the freaking Spiritomb. I get taken out. At least I was able to get that crit and do considerable damage to the thing, but now it's over there just taunting me with his orbs. He's over there pondering his orbs. And now I'm kind of in a bad spot versus this. I realize my best bet is probably just to bring in the Eel. And ordinarily, pretty bad idea to set up a physical attacker versus something like a Spiritomb. But I don't really have the option, and I decide, screw it. I'm going to go for the Coil here. Maybe I catch it trying to Sucker Punch. It does not Sucker Punch, but at least I get that Coil up. And they click the Pain Split, which, you know, they steal some of my health. Does bring it back to pretty healthy, but it also doesn't really do much to the Eel either. So after some leftover, I'm pretty healthy, and I'm really hoping for this thing not to be Will-O-Wisp. And if I do at least get Wisp, I'm still in a position where I can continue to Coil, and this thing can't really threaten me that much in return. We've kind of seen what this thing's working with. I do decide to click the Supercell Slam. I figure at +1, fuck it, we're going to go slamming, and it actually ends up knocking the guy out, and that's actually very satisfying. Kind of didn't expect that to knock it out, but down goes the Spiritomb, and now the Eel is at +1 attack, defense, and accuracy. Don't have to worry about the Supercells, and we're in a pretty good spot with the thing for a little late game Eel. So first of all, in comes the Cinderace. They decide instead of attacking, they're just going to go for a U-turn. I'm, you know, pretty set up on my physical side here, so I should be able to take any attack this thing wants to throw at me. They U-turn just for a little bit of chip, probably trying to bait me into going for an electric attack here, as I know their last mon being Lantern. I'm pretty scared to do that because obviously Volt Absorb, but as I click the Drain Punch, that kind of reveals that Buddy's kind of screwed. Drain Punch does a bunch to the thing. Not only that, but I get a ton of health back, and Lantern can't really touch me in return. It can hit me with like some water coverage, but again, I'm relatively bulky, and I'm max HP and attack, so I know I can take anything this wants to throw at me, and all I gotta really do is continue to throw some Drain Punches. Like, this thing's arms probably... Buddy's been lifting, apparently. Doesn't seem like the kind of punching guy. Probably punching more with his face, because he's like a leech. I don't know. I hit it with another Drain Punch. They actually go for a Whirlpool. It does lock me in. That Lantern's probably there to try to lock things in, and then just like slowly whittle shit down, but Eelektross doesn't really care. We're just on a nice little spin cycle on the old Whirlpool. You say, hell yeah, free ride. And all I have to do, click another Drain Punch, should be able to finish off Lantern. They actually protect. This thing is here to just totally whittle down both your sanity and your HP. So, I mean, protect turn just stalls out one more turn in terms of leftovers and Whirlpool damage. But knowing that their final mon being Cinderace in the back, we're pretty much good. Because at least with one Coil, I can take really anything that thing can throw at us. So, after some nonsense, they hit me with an Ice Beam, which I take easily, finish it with another Drain Punch, get myself to a spot where your boy is healthy, And the Eel is once again on an absolute tear. There's a lot of ways that you can use Eelektross. That's one thing I really like about this mon is it's pretty damn versatile. And most of the time it's going to be a special attacker where it works really well as an assault vest user, but also a physical coil set is pretty damn lit too. So final mon is going to be the Cinderace. They do still have the Terra in their back pocket, but I'm way too healthy. I should be able to take anything it can throw at me, and I'm going to try to finish the game with a Supercell Slam. So they do bust out their final move being the Terra, and they're going to actually just go for the Terra Fire, boost this thing's fire damage as much as possible. Now Pyro Ball should hurt a little bit more, but again, at this health and at a boost, I should be able to live it barring a crit. And Chandelier asshole is going to go ahead and throw a flaming soccer ball at me. I live it. I like to imagine the Pyro Ball going right into my mouth. That's why I get burnt, which sucks. But guess what? Even through the attack drop, Supercell Slam is going to kill the Cinderace, and that's going to take care of the soccer player and the game. Eelektross is sick as hell, and we don't care about no flaming soccer balls. That is going to be the end of the game. And while generally we keep it about, stop it about there, I do have one more bonus match for you because this Eel this thing just goes crazy. There's certain mons where just getting showcase videos is not that hard, and this Eelektross is a really good one. So without any further ado, let's jump into the game. Let me know if you enjoy the longer videos. I try to kind of experiment in terms of what my video lengths are. And if you guys do watch the longer ones, I mean, I'll keep throwing the long ones out there. But regardless, my opponent leads off with an Ariados. This time I decided to lead Skuntank because I'm thinking, you know what, I know they're going to Sticky Web me. And I can outspeed the guy, and I go for that taunt, which is perfect. And no Sticky Webs for you, at least now. So, I mean, I switch up the lead occasionally when I see a position like that. The taunt works out nicely. And now I can kind of expect them to probably want to swap out. So they do end up bringing in Great Tusk, which is not good for Skuntank, obviously. I do set up a layer of Toxic Spikes, and while I know obviously they have the grounded poison with that Ariados around, it's at least going to have to force them to bring that thing in if they want to get rid of those. So it's kind of one of those moves where setting up those T-Spikes was basically there to try to get me in a spot where, you know, I can have to draw some weird switches. So at this point now I'm thinking maybe they actually Rapid Spin those away immediately. So I decided to go into the Mimikyu thinking maybe they Rapid Spin, and then all of a sudden I'm in a crazy position with this thing. But actually they go for the knockoff, which absolutely blows because it knocks the damn head off my shoulders, but also it knocks off my red card, which sucks. So this thing is still stuck in here, and I also am thinking this thing probably doesn't stay in against a Fairy type. But Buddy's got Tusks of Steel and Balls of Steel. They stay in. As I Swords Dance, they just click the Earthquake, and I barely hang on there. So, you know, I'm at 18 HP. The Mimikyu sweep is probably not happening, but at least I can connect on a nice little play rough. And then I just die to the Rocky Helmet recoil, which always sucks. So, I mean, at least I was able to get some pretty decent chip on the thing. Great Tusk is the kind of guy that never dies easily. So at least getting that amount of damage gonna make my life a whole lot easier. And then boom, all of a sudden I'm gonna bring in the Eel. You know, the best thing this thing can really do here is just go for a knockoff. And it's kind of in a spot where I can freely set up a coil. Anytime I can find the Eel a position to set up a coil, I'm taking that shit. So they do actually swap out. They're probably thinking, I don't want to be Giga Drained to death. So they end up going into the Ariados here, who does get the T-Spikes out of the way, which, you know, is fine. So they got my Toxic Spikes out. But at least I am able to set up a coil. And as long as Eelektross is out here setting up, I feel like all of a sudden the game momentum is kind of on my side, because now Ariados is another mon that I'm pretty free to just set up another coil on. This thing can go for its Sticky Web. I know that this turn essentially is just locked up on them clicking Sticky Web. They want those webs up, and therefore I get up a second coil. Now we have attack doubled, defense doubled. We're not going to be missing anything, and the Eel is ready to just kind of see what we can do here. I don't really need more than those coils, so I decided to just go for a knockoff here. Not quite going to be able to knock it out, but we know it's going to be a Focus Sash anyway, so I needed to at least touch it twice. And as they do go for a little Leech Life, you know, it kind of hurts a little bit, actually. That Ariados kind of slapping, but, you know, it gets some health back. I at least eat some leftovers. And as long as it's pretty healthy with the thing, it's a weird setup mon. Anytime there's a sweeper mon that's, or not necessarily, like more of like a tank setup, but if you don't have any speed buildup, you kind of have to have the longevity around. So that's why this thing, it works really well with its defensive boost. We have to worry about the special side, but still, it doesn't go down easy. So I do finish that thing off with a Supercell Slam. Down goes the Ariados. And now we get to see what they want to do versus the Eel. Again, we're swimming majestically in the air, which is cool. I miss when this thing used to just walk on his little fin feet, but he doesn't walk anymore. I don't know what the hell is up with that. But they realize, you know, at +2 coils, they need to hit me on the special side, which is always fun because now, as they go Darkrai, that's kind of their best special attacker. And as they click the Dark Pulse, I'm thinking, please do not flinch. I live it. Do not flinch. And then I kill it with a Drain Punch, which is sick as hell. Because, first of all, it's always just satisfying to kill a Darkrai, but also, I get myself back to a spot in terms of health that I was pretty much at before. I may even be a little healthier, and the Eel is absolutely ripping and tearing. Darkrai was kind of something I was super worried about in this matchup in general. So being able to finish it with a Drain Punch is sick. And they're like, damn, I got a little bit hoed on that one, but they're going to continue the theme with maybe hitting me on the special side by switching into the Lucario here. Now this is a fella that has the option to be a Nasty Plot attacker, and as they pull out the Terra, they know I have the Drain Punch, so I'm like, they probably don't have anything that can kill me directly here without any setup, and as they go for the Terra Psychic, which is not a Terra you see very often actually, I kind of forget what that even looks like, but they put the eyeball on its head, and they click the Nasty Plot, so it was kind of exactly what I was thinking. And as they double their special attack, they now are also going to be able to live a Drain Punch easily, or at least I do some chip there, but with that Nasty Plot setup, this thing is spooky. It has +2, and I'm actually with that Drain Punch still get some considerable health back. So I'm thinking maybe there's actually a shot that I can live and attack from this thing, and then a Supercell Slam should be able to finish it off. So don't really have any reason to swap here. They go for the Aura Sphere, pull out the Stab Aura Sphere at +2, and it actually ends up killing me. So down goes the Eel. Didn't quite get the crazy sweep there, but as we did some damage, we forced them into going for their Terra, and now I got to see if I can complete the match. So I decided I have a couple different options to bring in here. Skuntank is kind of my best one, because while I do get caught up in a sticky web, and this Lucario is probably built around that, being able to outspeed things with a Nasty Plot. But you can't be faster than these hands, baby. I go for that Sucker Punch. It is going to take care of the Lucario with a crit. Doesn't probably matter. But that's going to take care of it, which is satisfying because now I don't get swept by the thing, but also they don't have an option to Terra anything in the back. So we do have a pretty good matchup for the rest of this game. And as they bring in Great Tusk, first I'm stoked that this thing has some chip on it. And also, second of all, this Skuntank is in a damn bad spot. I don't want to stay in here. The tank does still have some value, so I realize my best bet, probably just go into the horse. The Mudsdale is the kind of guy that anytime you can bring it in versus a physical attacker, it can always just tank hits, it can build up staminas, and then body presses get a little out of hand. So they do go for the Earthquake versus the Skuntank. I do live it nicely, and at least now get myself a stamina boost. And so now I can just continue to take whatever other attacks even easier. It probably does have coverage in Ice Spinner, but at +1 I should be able to live it. And all I need to do is just hit it with one body press to kill the Tusk. So they are instead going to swap out. They probably realize that they're not going to get anywhere too crazy with that. So I click the body press here. Now they bring in Hydrapple. Now Hydrapple is a mon that I've been staring at in the team just from the team preview, knowing that this thing it's going to be an issue because in my team comp I don't have really great options for coverage against that. But one thing I do have in the back that I've been conserving this whole time is going to be my Sandy Shocks. And my Sandy Shocks just basically has the Terra Ice, Terra Blast. So as they go for a Giga Drain, I kind of figured that was going to kill the Mudsdale. It does not. Somehow we live. Mudsdale, this thing just does not die, I swear to God. It allows me now to set up my Stealth Rock, which is awesome. Just a little bit of extra chip here and there. It goes a long way. Plus I wasn't going to be able to do too much to this apple, and I know that my kind of matchup versus it is going to be an Ice Terra Blast. So, I mean, this thing's just allergic as shit to ice. So, all I really got to do is just make sure I have that Terra there. I now have no reason really to switch. They click the Fickle Beam just to look cool. It doesn't get the All Out animation, but at least is enough to finish off the Dale. And down goes my defensive wall. So, I got 3 mons left. Nothing really wants to deal with this thing. I may have the Gunk Shot with the freaking Skuntank. But my best bet is going to be this here magnet. Now this feels like a kind of late game sweep position for me because as I come in, I get that photosynthesis. It is actually going to be special attack this time as well. But I now know that I can go for the Terra Iced. I can outspeed everything they've got left, and Terra Ice puts me in a spot where I can kill the Great Tusk, and also I should be able to just easily kill the Electivire they have in the back with an Earth Power. So I put the Snowflake on my head. It spins around with his little thing. Looks kind of cool. So I can now fire off the Terra Blast. They have no way to Terra out of this weakness, even if they saw it coming. So Terra Blast does connect, especially with a special attack boost. It's going to be a dead-ass Hydrapple. And so down goes the freaking the Apple Worm. So they now have 2 mons left. It's going to be Electivire along with the Great Tusk. I figure easy late game sweep. But as they go Electivire here, check this out. They take some Stealth Rock, but also they're freaking Air Balloon. They are going to be floating in the air, and now I cannot click an Earth Power, which is bad news because, I mean, a Terra Blast is going to be my best damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill it. And this thing freaking outspeeds me because of the web. So I do live the Supercell, which is sweet. But again, a Terra Blast is not going to be able to finish the thing off. I do at least get it down to a point where I can easily pick it off with something like Skuntank Sucker Punch. But then I'm realizing I do need a, kind of an insurance policy versus that damn Great Tusk in the back. So it's actually in my best interest to actually swap here. I decided to go into the Skuntank because there's another thing this thing's on the squad for, and it's a good sponge in terms of being able to die via physical attacks. So check it out. They go for a Supercell. I do live it at least, which is sweet, but I can now threaten this thing with a Sucker Punch, and they are kind of in a spot where they can't really finish me off. Now, as I do Sucker Punch, they probably see that coming, and instead they're going to go for a Bulk Up. But regardless, at the amount of health this thing's at, it's going to have to touch me eventually. It is going to either, it's going to be Rocky Helmeted. The reason why I say this Skuntank is good at dying via physical attacks, or at least contact moves, is because of Aftermath. Paired with that Rocky Helmet, it does a decent chunk if that's how you want to kill the thing. But they continue to go for bulk ups, and again, it's kind of a fruitless effort here because, I mean, eventually they're gonna have to attack. They can stall out all my Sucker Punch PP, but I decide screw it. They're gonna continue to click that. I'm just gonna go for a Gunk Shot, but they swap and go Great Tusk here. Now, Great Tusk is not super healthy, and I'm thinking like I probably also can't really kill it though. If I can get a poison with this Gunk Shot, that would be sick. I do connect again, important to note. Do not get the poison, however, and then I realized that I'm just going to go ahead, click the Sucker Punch, let this thing knock me out here with an Earthquake. Skuntank kind of did what it needed to do. I do get hit by the Rocky Helmet, and they kill me with a Rapid Spin. So check this out. Rapid Spin would have been a very bad play. So first of all, it activates my Aftermath, which is sick. So that's going to do enough to pretty much knock the thing out, and since they clicked Rapid Spin on a turn where they died via Aftermath, it actually did not get rid of the Stealth Rock, and that's an interesting kind of interaction there. So now with the Stealth Rock still up, I'm now in a position where all I gotta do is bring in something, and that Electivire is not gonna be able to live the Stealth Rock at the health that it's at. So kind of something I always forget about when you go for a Rapid Spin on a turn where you die via like a Rocky Helmet or something like Aftermath, it doesn't do the job. So that's gonna be a dead Electivire, and that's going to be the end of the game. Thought that was just a super interesting one. Well played all around, and a fun game. So, thank you guys very much for watching. No, this is a longer one. If you stuck around, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.